Welcome to the social circle where creators come together to turn ideas into impact and goals into reality. I am Candace, and this is
Jennifer, good morning,
woo.
everybody. Good afternoon and good evening, wherever you are and whenever you are listening. I'm so glad you're here. I know we are excited to share today's conversation.
Yeah, it's been a couple weeks, and have been absent. I could touch on that real quick if you want me to.
Yeah, I mean, whoever is following along, on the podcasting, it might make for a nice update from the last call. So yeah, go for it.
Yeah. I am back at work one toe at a time, I think. Trying to get back into the swing of things while mourning the loss of my grandson Oliver, um, and trying to help my daughter and son-in-law and grandson as much as possible. And I'm grateful that Jennifer was able to continue going while I was out. Thankfully, we didn't have to pause, and I am so grateful for that. So, thank you, everyone, and thank you, Jennifer, of course.
I
My
think
bestie, I
that's
couldn't do it without you.
to be honest, I think that's what makes us work so well together is the fact that we are here to show up for one another, right? So this is our community. This is why we are doing this. Is that
Yeah,
when one of us, has to take a knee, we're right behind you to help you out. And I think our partnership between me and Candace, it started out like that. Is that I wasn't understanding it, and she's like, "I'm gonna take you along. We're gonna learn this together." And I think that's been probably one of the best things coming here to help you guys along as well. I think that's so important when you're learning the skills that we're here to talk about.
yeah, absolutely. Today we're going to talk about short form video and why it is so essential if you're going to play this online game. And
Yeah.
yeah, how you can create content that actually gets the views that you need, that you're looking for to get the followers.
It A personal note from me is that I always struggled with my long form content. And so in my beginning journey, I would say about 6 months in, I was trying to do talking long form, longer than 15 seconds, and then I had ended up going into just short form 5 to 15 seconds, like, learning how to trim that down. It was such a relief. I felt so much better about my beginning moments, knowing that I didn't have to do long form if I was uncomfortable with it. And it's always a choice when you're getting started, deciding how you want to show up, if you want to make it a long talking video or if you just want to do a short video. And that's what we're here to help you figure out today.
Amen. And I mean, how and why does short form video work, right? Why is it so important and crucial for your growth? What do you think, Jennifer? Because I'll give my
Hey,
2 cents after you.
people have the attention of goldfish. I've heard this statement for about a year and a half now, and it's true. Just think about yourself. Put yourself in your viewer's shoes. And when you're looking at the content that comes up on your feed, what is attracting you? It's the things that catch your attention within the first couple of seconds. It's something that you're like, "Oh my god, I have to go back and watch that again," and just sit there and rewatch it because that opener, the first couple of short seconds just really got to you. And I think that's something that, it's a skill. You have to practice this over and over and over, um, short form or long form. But essentially, the shorter it is, I think honestly, that's our goal as a creator is to have shorter content to constantly be replaying because that tells the algorithm on that platform, oh my God, this creator is doing something. These people are sticking around. Let's push it more. But as your target audience who is looking at something, some of us just don't want to stick around for a whole 25 seconds.
I mean, that's what I was going to say. Attention spans is number one.
Yeah.
Attention spans
Okay.
are number one. And honestly, when I go look, when I go to long form videos, I am usually searching for something. We've been
Yeah.
watching the crap out of YouTube because we've been making terrariums and building these aquariums and like watching YouTube like crazy. And we just, you flip through it. You flip through it. You're looking for something. So if you're scrolling through your phone at night, you're not looking for anything in particular. You're just scrolling.
That's
So
your
that's why,
decompression time, right?
yeah,
You're just looking to see something to make you feel good for a minute. Whether you're doing it consciously or unconsciously, that is the action that's happening.
the circle hack for today is to keep, when we say short form videos, right? You need to remember there's a difference between all the platforms when you're talking short form videos. Um, let's talk Instagram. I would say personally, Instagram between 5 to 7 seconds. What would you say, Jennifer?
That has honestly been my sweet spot, and I actually started out with about 7 to 10. And I think my longest short form was probably 15 seconds at the time, and we're talking over a year ago where I was trying to figure that out. I didn't know if the shorter 4 to 7 seconds was better or if it was better 10 to 15 seconds. And what I had ended up finding, by going from a longer time short form to a shorter time short form was that my overall average watch time was much healthier with a lesser time watch, if that makes sense. Hopefully it does. Your viewer is going to rewatch a video because everything is right. Your hook is good visually, verbally, written, the audio is there, and if it's a shorter form video, it hopefully is going to be replaying in the background while the people are interacting on the video, whether it's just rewatching it, doing if you have a poll in there, because that's an option right now, or leaving comments, right? So that is something that it all just adds to building and telling the algorithm that you're doing something right in that particular content.
Now, TikTok. Do you want to talk about your experience with TikTok?
I was at first, when I learned all about digital marketing, one of the platforms at the time that was really popular because it was fairly new was TikTok. And the excitement behind TikTok was virality. Everybody who I had known, or had learned from was saying, get on TikTok. TikTok will get you a faster audience in a shorter amount of time. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to do it. I've never posted or created on TikTok. I was one of those old fogies who believed that TikTok was just that dancing show app, right? And everybody's just dancing all the my sister was on TikTok and she would make dancing videos. And I'm just like, that's not who I am. I'm not going to be. I want to, right? But I'm this old woman now. I can't do that stuff. So it was a personal decision to attempt working with TikTok at first. And because I didn't go viral, but I got 1,000 followers in 30 days when I first started posting, I was like, okay, but I'm still not getting a lot of engagement. So for me, yes, I didn't have virality, but I did have people say, okay, this is decent, I'll follow, but it wasn't enough. So I actually made that choice consciously to move away from TikTok, because I wanted to learn how to grow a community, and TikTok doesn't have that community basics behind it. The algorithms are very different between Instagram and TikTok, and TikTok rewards you in the first 3 seconds that, oh my God, this is amazing, and you go TikTok or you go crazy viral off of that. Whereas Instagram is that more slow burn community growing place, and in the all around world of marketing, you want that community to know, trust, and love you. And if you're a beginner and you're getting started and you don't understand that, how to build that audience part, if you need that virality for your own ego to let you know you're doing good, albeit, right? Do it if you need to. Um, if you're choosing to start off in Instagram, just know that it is a little bit harder to grow a community on that account. People are not as quick to follow. People are going to maybe not watch your content right away. It's going to take time. And I think once you step back and you analyze everything and you try and figure out and understand how to perform on each of these platforms, you're just going to do well, because I know Candace does her content in one platform and then will share it to the other, and there are different performance values for each kind, but it's the same video, and the audiences do it tend to be different. If I'm honestly speaking, and I don't feel, for my following, for my content that I was doing, TikTok really wasn't where I wanted to be. I didn't feel that whole lot of community. I felt a lot more judgment than I do on Instagram, to be fully honest. And so I went into the Instagram app and I started to learn how to grow an account from there. And it's a long road, but I think in the long run, it's a lot worth it.
I agree. Um, I will say the TikTok time of the videos, you wouldn't want to do something like the 5 to 7 seconds like you would with Instagram. You would want to do something a little bit longer, and that there's no sweet spot there. I would say from 10 seconds to like 30 seconds. Longer than that. So there's no sweet spot that I found in TikTok. I had a million point one views on a video that I did on TikTok, and that was 21 seconds. It was a talking video. So it's all going to depend really on what kind of video it is, what you're doing. And the biggest thing is like keeping the attention of the audience, which we're going to get into next when we go through our main topics. But that was our circle hack. So Instagram, we said 5 to 7. That's our experience. And for TikTok, we're going to go with, I'm going to go between 10 and 30 seconds.
I would say that's a pretty valid timeline right now. And
Yeah,
then if
right
TikTok
now,
is around.
right now. And YouTube Shorts is just a free for all, and Facebook is weird because
Yeah.
Facebook also likes the short videos, but it likes longer ones as well. So it's weird.
The redheaded stepchild of all
Yeah,
platforms.
that's so true.
And if you're lucky, right, if you're able to be on all of these platforms and share your content multiple times a day on everywhere, like Candace's strategy, after X number of time, I think in her case it was a year, she was able to monetize on YouTube just because she was reposting her content. So don't let that, dissuade you from being on every platform, because you can start on YouTube even, and that's a whole other conversation we'll have. That's something to definitely keep in your thoughts, is that YouTube Shorts is as comparable as TikTok. So I think that's something to we'll have to talk about that next call, I think.
Right on. Okay. So now how do you create reels and TikToks that perform and that get you those analytics that you need to get the followers that know, like, and trust you to build that community and then make money, right? That's all we're trying to all get to eventually.
Yep.
Everybody just wants to make money online.
I was listening to a audiobook yesterday, Million Dollar Weekend.
Mm.
Um, and one of the things that is a recurring topic of conversation for beginner entrepreneurs in this space is, don't start being a salesperson, start being a community builder. Have your customer in mind before you start requesting that dollar bill. And I think when we're getting into this, our first mind is, I've done 3 hours of study learning how to do something, and then I created, and now it's out there in the world. I should receive a dollar amount for that. Well, that's your employer mindset coming into play there. And that's something that you have to work on your own to break, because that will slow your progress. And I think that happened to me. That's why I'm saying it. I felt that for every hour I spent studying and learning and creating, I should have had X dollars by the time I got done. And it's something that it won't happen. It can take several weeks, months, years before you even see a dollar back in profit. Now, this all will just depend on your skill level that you bring to the table and your dedication on learning, how we do content creation on TikTok. And that's something that I found it was simple enough to, use the app to record, and that's a decision to make too. I think that's a topic that we hear a lot. Well, do you record with your phone camera or do you have an extra camera recording you on a tripod somewhere? Or do you just open up the app and record inside the app? And to be honest, I'm all about simplicity. I will do what is the easiest thing for me to do. And right now, pulling out my cell phone and hitting the reel or live or whatever option in that app
Yeah.
is the easiest thing to do. And that would be your first choice is to decide, to record within the app or with it without the app, right? I find when I'm recording my content, I am choosing to directly record inside of that app. And then before I ever make any kind of an editing whatsoever, audio, text, cutting it up, right? That's a whole other thing. I actually just save that video to my camera roll. And that's been the biggest hack that I've ever been able to do is have that video already there so that I can re-record, or keep that later on down the road. And that's something else that we've talked about in the past, so I won't go too much more into that. But when you're in TikTok and you hit reel and you go to do ad or there's a little plus sign, like most of these apps will all have that there when you're doing these recordings. Um, you'll have the option. Right now we have 15 seconds, 10, 60 seconds, and 10 minutes to record. And that's TikTok currently.
You only get 90 seconds to record in Instagram.
That's how you would get your video in. And then next would come
Plan. I do want to say this. We have like three things we want to give you, like that you really need to focus on when you're creating any kind of short form social media, right? These are a couple of things that we think that you should focus on. And I just want to point out that this outline for this podcast was written in November or December. I can't remember. But it says to hook the viewers within the first 3 seconds. And I just want you to know that from the time that we wrote the outline to the time that we recorded, that has changed. People, it is now 1 second.
Yep.
1 second.
Goldfish attention span.
Yes. So, like, that is the important thing to keep in mind that you have to grab their attention and hook them right away. Um, that's why it's so important to have the right hook and the copy written out, the text right on the screen, right? Hook them right there with your text on the screen. Example hooks, negative connotations always work really well. Don't do this, do this. I hate mac and cheese, and this is why. Unpopular opinion. I might lose a lot of followers saying this. That's one I see a lot. But that's just the way for you to grab the person's attention and keep them there long enough to get them to stick around and hear what else you have to say. And maybe if they like it, they'll check out some of your other videos and give you a follow. So give them the um, give them the hook right up front and put the text on the screen, please, for the love.
Yeah. And when you're editing inside of the app, right, and you're looking to add your text at the same time, you are able to. There's like a slider option, so you're able to adjust it based on how long you want it. And I'm trying to create a reel as an example while I'm talking, so excuse me while I'm looking down. Um, One thing too that I would really like to point out is when you're trying to decide test out in the first, I would say 30 days. Take 30 days and test out between 2 to 3 different styles, different colors, different versions of text, like locations on your video and all that, because that will begin to build your library so that you can go through your own content in 30 days and say, okay, so here's where this kind of retro, I think is what it's called, versus elegant, right? Those are different types of style text, and then whether you want it in a big box or in a little bubble blurb, there's lots of editing features that the app wants you to use. One,
But not all in the same video.
not all in the same video. No, you want it to be consistent across your feed. So when you take like a step back out of your reel and you're looking at your overall view, you kind of want it to look nice, aesthetically pleasing a little bit, right? You don't want it to be just completely wild because a confused mind never buys.
Hmm.
Somebody who doesn't understand what your messaging is when you're coming in with red coloring over here, blue coloring over here, yellow coloring over here, and it's like flashing with stickers and stuff like that. You
Right.
just want to
Or all
maintain
different
the
texts, all
consistency.
different fonts of text.
Exactly. And the way that you learn that is testing that, which I didn't realize when I
For
was
like a
doing
whole
it.
year, I didn't realize that.
So, trying to shorten your timeline for you, these are the tips that we have learned that we're really, really hoping stick for you. As a beginner, if you're an intermediate and you're trying to understand maybe why you're not getting the views, check that. See if you're using consistency like that across your content, and that might be a clue.
Right. I'm just gonna throw some other good hooks. Like if you have, okay, let me see. Get get toned abs in just 2 weeks with this workout. Um, uh, Reduce your credit score in 60 days with this hack. Something like that. Does anybody else hate Cheetos?
Love
I
them.
don't know. Like that's another one. POVs
Yeah.
are a hook.
Point of
You
view.
can talk about like breaking news. You won't believe this. Another thing lately, I've seen a lot of because it used to be say you, right? We used to hear say you because you're speaking to the audience. But I've heard lately, it's much more about I. I lost this. I did this. I experienced this.
Why
And
do
then
you
I'm
think
gonna,
that is?
because it's more relatable to the watcher to go through that with the person. It's more like, oh gosh, okay, I feel this too. It's not you trying to push it on me. It's you saying you did it, or you feel it, or I feel it, excuse me. I feel it. I did this. Instead of you should be doing this kind of a thing.
I love that.
Agreed?
I agree. Yes.
Okay. Next hack, trending audio. Hey,
Yay.
trending audio, Jennifer. That's you, sister.
So trending audio, I think that's a conversation that will always and forever, as long as these apps exist, is going to come up for you. When you're hearing us today, right now, Jennifer's point of view is trending audio is not as important as using a connecting audio that connects yourself to your desired audience member. And I say that because most times a trending audio is intended for if you use it under what was it, 1,000 follows or 1,000 shares, then you're going to jump on this train of growth. And while that can be part of your strategy, where you can do one video a day with one trending audio every day, that might help get you seen a little bit sooner. But also keep in mind that you do want to connect your audience. And every time you make a reel, I like to do it where I make the video first, then I find some kind of copy that I want to attach to that. And then after I match those two, then I see it over and over again until I realize this is the sound that I want to come from that. So this is where, part of your strategy comes in as, well, how do I want this to look? How do I want it to sound and make that person feel? Like a funny dog video will usually have like a laughing audio background, that's something that you've heard forever, for years, right? And that's something that just brings back a nostalgic feeling for you, whether you're seeing it now or later. There's one character or one creator that I follow is the original, or is it the Ben Kid or something? This is on Instagram. A lot of his content is funny, comical content where he just stands in his front yard holding a cup of coffee, but his words
Oh,
on screen are usually a joke of some sort. And in the background, you're hearing the laughter going over and over and over again. So that is something that you can use. And I feel like I'm going down the route of don't use trending audio to rely on growing your account. Um, your best bet is to find a sound that triggers that emotional response, which triggers an endorphin response, which hopefully will gain you some more growth faster than it would a trending audio. And it comes down to getting the right recipe on your video. So getting the right pieces to line up together. That and you can do that with trending audio. Again, it's all strategy. It's all in how you plan out your content. So
It's an art.
it's an art. It really
Your
is.
content is your art. That's probably the number one thing that I've learned since being in my Instagram creators group is your content is your art.
Agreed.
It's all the way down to the the video, the lighting, the words, the music that fits it. I can't tell you how many times in the past I put the wrong song with a video.
Oh yeah. Same.
Like, and I'm like, I, mm, I was like, oh, I didn't realize that's what it was, right? Trying to
I
follow
look at it
trends.
now. Yeah, I look at it now and I'm like, okay, well, I was trying to do this and now I understand why it didn't work. And it just didn't resonate. And that's the goal is that you want to grow that audience. And I think like I don't know, I think Charlie does his gardening account. So some of the content that he could do could be that ethereal fairy kind of sound where it's
Yeah.
very naturalistic, holistic sounds, and there are those kinds of sounds out there that could go along with him. But he could also share his own personality in some of that. So some of his own favorite songs while he's propagating a plant in the video, teaching us a skill that we didn't know about propagation. That's also fair, right? It's I think it's trending audios can work up to a certain level, and if you want to jump on a trend, you have to do it early because otherwise if you wait too long, well, it's already a dead song, right? That audio
Right.
never will stay. But if it's as somebody I know says, if it's a jukebox song where if you walk into a restaurant or a bar and you go to the jukebox playing, whatever it looks like now, I don't know. But you see
It's
that
on the
it's
wall
a
usually.
popular playlist, right? Of all songs ever made that everyone loves to hear when it pops on. And
Hmm.
everybody in the bar can party together with it, whether it's from the 50s, any decade, it doesn't matter. That's the
Yeah.
kind of feeling you want to interact with in your content. And so those are no longer trending because those were trending in the day. So that's the difference between using trending today and using something that kind of stirs up an emotion from the past. And I think that to me for my growth has been more helpful, I feel.
I agree. I have had success using trending audio very early. Very early. So example, T-Pain did something a couple weeks ago.
Man, I just made this beat from scratch in front of everybody. I'm still the motherfucking greatest. Fuck you.
And I thought, I was like, oh, this thing's gonna hit. I got every video on there almost. Like, only got 5 reels, but it was T Pain, and I was like, oh, that's a good one. But I will look at creators that I follow, Altigo Music, and I will look at how the videos that performed before me, or the videos that were posted before me, how they performed. For example, they just posted this, but I'm going to use it as an example. So look at the views. Can you see that? The views are very low on all of these. It's like 47, 105, 100. So I'll scroll for a bit. Maybe somebody had a viral, nothing. So I'm like, okay, theirs will probably hit later just because everybody uses it. But that's one example of a way to use trending audio is to see how's it doing.
Yes, I love that you explained that too, because that is something that is very beneficial for yourself to do a little bit of that digging in before you decide on something. Once you see how that sound has performed for other people, that can also help you decide if it's something you want to use too.
Yeah. But I always say catch it early, and it in the long run, can it help you? Sure. Is it
Mhm.
the thing that is going to help you? I don't think so. Not in my experience.
No.
Last one is captions and CTAs, calls to action. So do not, do not speak like a computer system. Use your own words when you're writing in your description or your caption, whatever you call it. But if you look at what it says in Instagram, it says description.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, like, don't talk like you would, like your own words. Use your words. People
Make
can
it,
see right through
yeah, make it
something that's
feel,
not yours.
yeah, make it feel like it's a conversation of something that you would tell a friend who's really interested in what you're talking about. Um,
Absolutely.
and what helps, honestly, is to say it aloud to yourself so that you hear how your words come through. And, make it readable too, right? So make it at like a eighth grader reading level so that there's breaks in between so that you don't have just one long, giant 3, 5 run-on sentences, right? This is
Which
supposed
we are both guilty of.
that's why I say it. That's why I say it, because I did it, right? You wanna make it consumable in a bite-sized manner for your people. And then whatever your giveaway is, whatever your if you're trying to build a community online in Facebook or something, uh, delve into those details deeper in there, right? Your content should simply be the pamphlet version of what you're trying to tell people about. So
Right.
really always say aloud what you're trying to speak to people about in your caption. Um, and I'm not what else did you want to say about call to action, Candace?
Yeah. So, the other thing with that, since we talked about description, now what I do want to say is that just so everybody's clear, 80% of people that are watching your videos watch them on mute. They
Captions.
watch them on mute. So
Add
you've
the
got to
caption.
put the captions on there if it's something that needs a caption. If it's a
Candace, yeah.
speaking video, if it's something like that, then you need to put those captions on there. You've got to make sure that they're there because um people are not watching your videos at the full volume.
They're
Most of the
hiding
time
behind the
they're
word.
yeah, exactly. So make sure you add the captions. And then calls to action. Um, honestly, your call to action is what you want people to do. Do you need a call to action each time? No, not necessarily. But your call to action would be something like follow me for more. Share with your partner, share with your bestie, save this for later, comment your favorite color, tell me about your experience. Those kinds of things are your calls to action where you're trying to get the viewer to do something. And I will say that the number one thing, if you're trying to grow an account for your call to action, should always be follow me. Because that's all
I
you're trying to
agree.
do is build a community.
Yes, I totally agree with that. Um, like I said, if you, from the beginning of this call, is if you start to attack or harass people with a sales pitch of go buy my product or go click on my link, they're going to run. They know what it is. So when you're first trying to build that community and get people to start trusting what you know, you have to just ask them for a kind follow. It used to be, right? Like, share, save, follow. 4 things. That used to be what we wanted to post as a creator. But over time, that became far too much. That was 4 calls of action. It got too confusing, and the viewer would likely have scrolled past within that first couple of seconds anyway. So it's very important to, pay attention. And these things do change, by the way. Everything that we're saying today, sadly, might have changed in a few months from today. Um, but in overall, right, social media is always changing, and right now, the most important thing that as you're beginning your account is asking for the follow. And it's just something that you can do You don't have to do like personally for my content right now, I am posting like one line that's related to my video that they just watched, and then just below that one line I just say follow me, and then I'll put a little blurb that's relatively related again to the video. So my favorite kinds of content I share is marriage pieces. So um one person shuts the cabinet doors, the other person doesn't shut the cabinet doors, and they end up married, right? Very not the greatest example. I'm sorry for that. But in the description below that video, I say, which one are you? And then I might ask a poll question. And that's an option inside of your editing feature where you can take a poll and you can say, shut the doors, don't shut the doors. And then you can say, follow me for more ridiculous marriage advice.
Yeah.
And so that's just a very brief example, non-visualized, I apologize for that, but it's a very brief example of how I'm utilizing as many features and key options as I can in that reel, and I am currently using follow me on every reel, and that's simply because I am trying to reach that 1,000 follower count. That's my goal, and I only want people to follow me. And then in my stories, and this will be a call for another day, but in my stories, that's where I share, "Hey guys, I have this community. You want more? Click this link." I
Yeah.
don't ask people to click my link anymore, because again, that was over a year old. People don't wanna do it. They don't wanna hear it. They know it's a sales pitch from the jump. So, that's definitely something to keep in mind is you have to be very planned out on how you wanna ask people to do something. And so I think Candace, at this point, you're not asking for follows anymore, right? Because you have XYZ.
It just depends on what I'm doing. Yeah, it depends on what I'm doing because I send people to the group. I say follow. I say share. I got the podcast. I've got my podcast. So it depends on what direction I want to put people in. But
And that's
that's
all
the
pre-planned.
point. Yeah, that's the point. Is you've got to give them the direction. And in the very beginning, I wish somebody would have told me in the very beginning, your only call to action needs to be follow me.
Yes, to
Like,
grow your account
just trust me. That's what it
just
needs to
follow.
be. And I would have been like, okay, cool. That would have been easy instead of like, comment, share. Ugh.
It definitely the mistakes that we went through, I enjoy now. I hated it when I was going through it because I'm like, why? Why isn't this working? Other people are doing it. Why isn't it working for me? And I would hear a lot of other people say that same statement. And it came down to, well, that's working for that person's audience.
Right.
Your audience, you have to figure that out. You have to test your ideas and just see what comes of that. And a lot of it, if you're not getting good views, I'll say this, if your views are not averaging more than your followers, something is wrong in your content. You do need to analyze your own content. Once you start to get views that surpass your number of following, that is a little more feedback for you, whether, you want more people to comment a word or follow or whatever your call to action is. That just means that you have to analyze a little bit more, right? You have to keep testing a couple of ideas. One of the biggest tips that I've ever heard is that when one of your reels does very well, study the shit out of that. Understand why and do it again. Similar to it, same, like it, right? Changing one small thing and track the shit. You
Amen.
need to understand why that one video did well. Don't just guess it and then say, "Well, I tried again a couple of days later and that one didn't do so well, so I gave up on it." That's the worst kind of way to test your content is to give up on something that might have done well. I don't know how many times I could kick myself in the butt for not repeating something. And what I like about Instagram more, I don't know if TikTok does this, but what I like about Instagram right now is it's telling you this reel performed 660% better than your other one.
Right. Yes, that's so true. That's so true.
Biggest takeaway from today's call.
Very
Double
true.
down on what is working well. But before you double down on it, understand the mechanics of what made it work well. And I think that will help you to grow a lot faster.
Yes, I agree. I 100%
The
agree
message
with that, my friend.
is
No, but seriously, like it
Yeah,
I was so busy trying to create new shit. Like I was so busy trying to
girl.
create new. And it's like,
Pull up.
why? Why?
You know what it is? I think it's because we, at the very beginning stages, don't understand that community piece of it first. And so we believe that, well, whatever I have to think or say, well, that's definitely going to resound or resonate with somebody else. That's
Yeah,
not always the case. Your account is never for you, it is for your following, for your audience, for the person you choose to help. And the best thing that you could do for yourself is to take you out of your content and
yeah,
put your audience inside of that. Well, how do I connect to these people? How can I make these people laugh or cry or figure out what they need? How do I help them through that messaging? And it's something that it will take time. It will take a ton of research. But in the beginning stages, stop trying to be a salesperson and stop trying to keep yourself in your content and expect everybody to agree with everything you say because it won't happen and you're just
yeah.
going to flounder.
That is wonderful advice.
Feel like that might
For
have been a
real.
little off topic. I apologize.
No, it was good though. It was good. I think we talked about everything. We did want to highlight
Yes,
inside of
highlight.
our VIP circle
Proud of
over in our school community. I just want to talk about Scott really quick. Scott has had a little bit of a rough go since the end of last year. Um, but has been killing it, just doubling up on creating his content to grow his following because he lost his job. So now he is just like ramping up to learn as much as he can and like post more content because he has the time to do that now. You know, this stuff takes so much time, but I'm so proud of because you can give up. You can give up when something really crappy happens
Oh
in
yeah.
your life. And he chose to take that in a positive way. And he said, I'm going to create more content and I'm going to learn and I'm going to test because I have the time to do it now. And I didn't have the time to do it before. And I'm just excited for him. Like,
Piggybacking off of that topic, I saw
please.
somebody else mention that they have been posting content for 7 years to their Instagram account. And only this last week, they finally broke 100,000 views on one of their reels that had like 75 shares, 200 comments, right? So I think the fact of showing up for yourself in all of this,
Hmm.
right? Constantly filling your cup, constantly working on your mindset, really, because that is the biggest thing that if you don't work on that, then you are not going to succeed. You will give in either to temptation or to like the flash in the pan kind of sales or what have you, right? If you don't work on that kind of thing of learning and studying and analyzing, and if you give up on yourself, that's the only way you lose.
Yeah. Yes. That, like, you know what? We're going to end it on that because, like, that's so, what did you say?
It's the
Mindset.
reality. Yeah,
But
it's
it
the
is.
reality of it.
It's mindset.
Yeah.
It's positive attitude, right?
80% mindset is what happens in all of that you're what you're trying to do here. Um
And just
and
maintaining that instead of
oh
feeling
yeah.
down on yourself, like,
Yeah.
okay, got it, lesson learned, moving on.
I had that period. I will say that that was something that affected me for a very long while is that well it's me physically, my personality, my physicality, right? It's something with me. And I took it to heart. Well, my viewers aren't liking anything I do, so something doesn't look right about me. And it wasn't that I looked funny or that I looked wrong. It was I wasn't using my skills to the right effect in my
Yeah.
content. And once I understood that I didn't matter. It's what I wrote, how I showed up in the video, how the sound showed up. All of those pieces intertwined is what mattered. And now I'm getting, 1 million views, 8 million views. I'm finally breaking records for myself that I hadn't even known I had set yet. But once I started to see that my reach is getting farther, my views are getting better, my followers are coming, it's all because I stuck it out. I analyzed, I learned, I re-listened, and I definitely worked on the mindset part. So it's all of this. If you're brand new, I promise you, you will be sitting in this call one day being like, okay, they're saying to trust the process. Trust the process.
Amen. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today in the social circle.
Yes.
Make sure that you like, comment, subscribe. And if you're ready to take the next steps, join our VIP group over in school, and you can find that in the show notes.
Yes. Cannot wait to see you, everybody. Have a great one.